What do you think the Democratic Party is doing right, and what do you think that they're doing wrong? And then can you also do that for the Republican Party?
Yeah, they're doing everything wrong. They're not doing anything right.
The Democratic Party we're talking
Yes.
about. Okay.
Yes, they're doing everything wrong. They basically play the role of a bottleneck for like any kind of genuine progressive momentum. They don't offer nearly enough labor protections, like at all. They have not refunded the NLRB after Donald Trump, defunded it. There are notable exceptions to this, but overall, the party view and the party attitude towards like even increasing the minimum wage or things like that could technically be done through budget reconciliation never came down to it because they looked at the first tiny marginal hurdle and said, oh, we can't do it because the Senate parliamentarian said we can't do it. And it's like fucking bullshit. Like, if you get down to the thick of it or the weeds of it, when you look at all of these structural hurdles, the Republican Party eviscerates them regularly. Okay, they routinely will say, "Fuck precedent. I don't give a shit. We're going to do it." I mean, look no further than the Federalist Society, from its development to its inception to all the way to now, where they have been able to dismantle abortion protections in the Supreme Court. That took it was 40 years long effort, but it was successful. They don't give a shit about what the impacts of this might be on the ground. So I think in many respects, the Republican Party does a very good job of, one, creating culture wars to fight and setting the terms of that battle, and then two, implementing measures that make it feel like they're actually successful and that they're giving something to their audiences, that they're giving something to their constituencies. Whereas the Democratic Party constantly is in a state of panic and defense, but that defense, whenever they're in positions of power, never actually comes to fruition, and they just kind of let a lot of it slide, let a lot of it go. So as far as that goes, I think whether it be environmental protections, I was going to call him Joe Brandon because that's what I do on stream all the time. Joe Biden. Joe Biden talks a big game about environmental protection, but then offers, a litany of pipelines to open up. No such genuine effort to like take away subsidies in the fossil fuel industry and like refocusing our efforts to become competitive against China in the field of like renewable energy is ever truly made, because the oil industry has America in a stranglehold. They can do whatever the fuck they want. So as far as that goes, I think the Democratic Party is pretty bad. I guess sometimes they will offer like a little bit of protection. Like DACA is a good example. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To protect deferred action on childhood arrivals, DACA was a really good policy by the Obama administration. They did a really good job with that. 90% popularity. So popular that Donald Trump claimed he wanted to abolish it, but wasn't even able to do so, right? Or the Affordable Care Act, right? Great. It had devastating impacts also simultaneously, but it was still better to expand Medicaid coverage and also on top of that, make sure that there were make sure that insurance providers could not say no to you for any kind of like pre-existing condition that you have, and also to ensure that you can stay under your family plan until the age of 26. All three of these provisions and also DACA was brilliant. It was great. I'm very fond of it. But they were done as a compromise. They were done simultaneously as Obama was even called by Trump as the deporter in chief, because he was increasing the pressure on deportations on arrival instead of easing the conditions of immigrating into the United States of America. The ACA was a compromise. It was first implemented by Mitt Romney in the state of Massachusetts. It was called Romney Care, and it was a program that actually did not socialize healthcare, but instead basically became a funding mechanism for private insurance to just continue growing out of control. So it was not real government intervention in that sense, and that's why there's plenty of problems with Obamacare even to this day. So what I'm trying to say is, even when they're doing something good, even if they're like marginally bettering people's conditions, right? Even if they're pushing the needle, they don't push it far enough when they even have the political capital to spend. They don't whip their congresspersons in the same way that Republicans always do. Republicans always make sure that their entire party falls in line with whatever the attitude is, whatever they believe in. But of course, they can get away with doing that because they're openly capitalist. They openly love capitalism. They openly love unshackling and deregulating industries and businesses. Whereas the Democratic Party kind of likes that because they have the same corporate benefactors that the Republican Party does. That's why a lot of these companies fund both of the parties through campaign contributions. But when they're running, they can't say that. Mm-hmm. So that when they're running, you think, oh my God, especially when they're not in positions of power, when when they don't have senatorial power, when they don't have any power in the House of Representatives, they talk about social. You would think that they're fucking Fidel Castro, Kamala Harris talking about healthcare when she's a senator in California is very different than Kamala Harris talking about healthcare when she's the vice president. And that is very frustrating for someone like myself.